Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. I am so incredibly pumped you're joining us today because we're treating this as a direct, high-energy mentorship session. Look, if you've been feeling the ground shifting beneath your feet professionally, trust me, you are not alone. We're all operating in this crazy era of intense market volatility, complex disruptions, and tech that's advancing faster than we can blink. But here's the thing, disruption absolutely doesn't have to mean doom and gloom. Today, we're extracting the core insights from Dr. Salman Sarbazvatan's powerful research on the dual transition. We're going to show you exactly how to survive, adapt, and ultimately thrive in this wild new landscape. We're breaking down the exact questions you need to ask yourself right now to find your competitive edge. So, let's get into it. Let me hit you with a probing question right off the bat. Is your career future-proof against the collapse of the linear economy? For generations, our entire global market has essentially operated on a straight line, right? We take finite resources, we make products, and then we just dispose of the waste. But the research is crystal clear on this. Those old rules are officially dead. We are currently facing a staggering 91.4% circularity gap. Think about that. That means more than 90% of what we extract from nature literally just turns into waste. We've been consuming 70% more than the Earth can safely replenish. So if your career, your business, or your skill set relies entirely on the assumptions of that outdated take, make, dispose model, you are highly, highly exposed to obsolescence. Okay, let's dive into this and look at the solution, which is something defined as the dual transition. This is the forceful, simultaneous convergence of the digital economy and the circular economy. And I want to be clear, this isn't just a minor trend or a cute buzzword. It is a massive structural shift. It's fundamentally reshaping our market dynamics, our professional contracts, and our social norms. These two monumental transitions are colliding right now, and they hold an unbelievable potential to drastically improve our social, financial, and environmental landscapes all at once. So, what does this collision actually look like in practice? Well, the digital economy brings us tech-empowered infrastructure, massive process efficiency, and digital inclusion. It's the backbone. Then, on the other side, the circular economy is completely focused on resource optimization, designing out waste entirely, and establishing shared stakeholder accountability. When these two massive forces brilliantly converge, they create an unprecedented level of transparency and environmental governance. Basically, the digital tools give us the visibility we actually need to make the circular economy work at a massive scale. And because of this massive shift, we arrive at a profound truth. Technological literacy is your ultimate disruption hedge. I really want to emphasize this as your absolute best defense mechanism against market volatility. Now, technological literacy doesn't just mean knowing how to write code. Not at all. It means having the digital culture, the skill set, and the openness to understand how a technology might impact social and economic landscapes. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a student, or a seasoned executive, deeply understanding how technology can trigger innovation is literally the single best way to protect and elevate your livelihood right now. And this brilliantly illustrates where that literacy needs to be applied. We are talking about emerging tech trends, things like climate tech, reg tech, fintech, agri-tech, health tech, and ed tech. These are the digitally empowered industries that are directly driving the circular economy forward and actively helping us hit the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. If you want to know where the massive growth, the serious investment, and the explosive professional opportunities are heading, it is right here. It's in these purpose-driven tech sectors for sure. But it gets even more fascinating when these technologies start talking to each other. This is called combinatorial innovation. It's what happens when multiple general-purpose technologies, think artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, big data, blockchain, when they all merge together. The real magic happens right at this intersection. This convergence actively reshapes the fabric of the economy. It drives entirely new waves of disruption and spawns incredible new professional opportunities, specifically through everything as a service, or XaaS models. It completely shifts the focus from owning physical products to just accessing sustainable services. To actually capitalize on these models, though, you have to fundamentally change how you operate. You have to stop working in professional silos. Consider this a direct challenge. Tear down your isolated ways of working today. The circular economy intrinsically requires collaborative action. Think about it. You cannot design out waste or optimize resources in a vacuum. It requires cross-industry communication, data sharing, and really deep partnerships. If you are just hiding in your own department or your specific discipline without looking at the broader ecosystem, you are going to get left behind. Let's map out how this economic architecture actually evolves. Step one was the era of shareholder capitalism. It was fragmented, it was incredibly linear, And honestly, it was often socially and environmentally unfair. Step 2, which is where we are rapidly heading right now, involves building multi-stakeholder ecosystems that are deeply connected through digital infrastructure. And the ultimate goal? Step 3, the arrival of environmental and social capitalism. This is a fully inclusive model where economic gain doesn't come at the expense of the planet or its people. That's the holy grail we're moving towards. The research captures the essence of this shift perfectly. It notes that the shared responsibility in the circular economy comes with distinct accountability for all stakeholders. Every single actor has a role to play here. The producers, the consumers, the regulators, the technologists, everyone is accountable for the entire life cycle of a product or a service. If you aren't actively thinking about how your role helps build an interconnected, inclusive ecosystem, well, you're playing by the rules of a game that's already ended. Okay, let's take a breath and slow down the pace for a second because we are moving into the real climax of this explainer. I want to hand you the offensive playbook. The research explicitly outlines a series of really powerful exploratory questions that forward-thinking professionals, companies, and investors absolutely must ask themselves to find their competitive edge. Think of this next part as your personal strategic audit for the dual transition. So the crucial point is, how can purpose-driven innovation be used as a competitive edge? I want you to really self-reflect on this one. Gone are the days when sustainability was just some corporate PR stunt, right? Today, integrating environmental, social, and economic impact into your core business model is literally how you win. You have to ask yourself, how does my specific work, my specific expertise, solve real-world problems while simultaneously driving economic value? To really answer that, you need to dive into this first set of crucial questions focused on tech integration and disruption. You should constantly be analyzing things like, how does digital transformation in my industry actually support the Sustainable Development Goals? How is combinatorial technology driving disruption in my specific sector? What are the market impacts of the dual transition for my clients? Which frontier technologies are opening up entirely new markets? And what emerging trends am I seeing in these everything-as-a-service models? Answering these questions on a regular basis is what keeps you ahead of the curve. Now, what's really interesting here is zooming out from just the technology to focus on governance and collaboration. Looking at ecosystems and policy horizons, you need to ask, how do national or regional policy strategies boost innovation in your space? How do changing regulations actually fuel stakeholder engagement? What trends are signaling the shift to stakeholder capitalism in your industry? And most importantly, how can you personally leverage these broader ecosystems to innovate? Look, tracking policy isn't just for lawyers anymore. Regulatory shifts often dictate exactly where the next massive innovation opportunities are going to emerge. When you put all of this together, the major takeaway is incredibly empowering. The accelerating need for scalability and interoperability brings omnipresent innovation opportunities. It is everywhere. Market disruption isn't a threat if you are prepared for it. It is arguably the greatest opportunity of our lifetime. By embracing technological literacy and deeply understanding the circular economy, you can spot the gaps, build the solutions, and capture immense value. Which leaves us with one final provocative thought. Ask yourself, will you be disrupted by the dual transition, or will you be the one to build the inclusive ecosystem of tomorrow? The linear economy is fading fast, guys. The future belongs to the technologically fluent, the collaborative, and the purpose-driven. So take that first step today. Start answering those exploratory questions and future-proof your path forward. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly, highly encourage you to go explore these concepts even further.